Alrighty, the time has come for yours truly, DWC Daniel William Clark, also known as your ultimate Mortal Kombat Fanatic, to review the all-new trailers revealing the newest content for Mortal Kombat 1. Yes. Oh boy, have I been looking forward to this. Let me first just say I'm sorry for being late to the party on this one. I actually had been made aware of there being new trailers uploaded regarding Mortal Kombat 1, but on the day that they were published, the Olympic Games had just started up, and I'm a big Olympics buff, so I always try to take in as much of that as I possibly can. So in that 2 week stretch, I haven't been able to record a video, give my thoughts, edit it together, and so on, because I was so engrossed in the Summer Olympics. But the games have concluded. The closing ceremony was just as great as the opening ceremony. And now it is time to talk about a whole different type of game, if you will. So the wait is over. The time is now. Without any further ado, here, ladies and gentlemen, is DWC's official reaction and review video for the newest trailers for Mortal Kombat 1. There's about two here, I believe. The first one that we're going to look at is called Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns. Khaos Reigns, huh? Well, you know what they say about those clerics of chaos. They all need something to hold on to, and they all mean well. Long may the chaos reign. All right, so let's go on ahead and bring this on up and get to chatting about it. Here we go. All right, starting off in the proper manner here. Rated M for mature. Intense violence, blood and gore, and strong language make up the reasons why. You know, perfectly friendly fare, as we've come to expect from Mortal Kombat over the years. All right, here it comes. Ready? First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch it through, and then I'm going to go back and give my thoughts on each individual aspect after giving my overall reaction to the trailer itself. Okay? All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mortal Kombat 1, that is. And action.
There are no sacred laws, no divine rules. I choose what is right. I hold the power. And I choose to bless all beings everywhere with anarchy.
This new Havoc is different from ours. He doesn't want freedom. He wants to burn everything down. Let real warriors handle this. My will is unbreakable.
Look at this! Oh, man! Female Sector and Cyrax! Ha! What a twist! Okay.
The future is chaos. All must embrace it.
You sound like Bihan.
I am he, though not as you remember.
What did Havoc do to you?
He perfected me.
First Shang Tsung, now this Havoc?
This would be amusing.
Will the threats from these titans never cease? Tell me, how do we escape this crisis?
It disgusts me. Oh, you've corrupted the Lin Kuei.
Make no mistake, we are here because of your treachery.
There will be blood.
That one. Chaos reigns. That was played by Daniel Day-Lewis, apparently.
Do you like scary movies?
What? Ghostface? T-1000? Conan the Barbarian? What? Oh my goodness. Chaos reigns. Oh, September 24th.
Finish him.
Oh wait, are these animalities? Oh, these are animalities. Yep. Yikes. I've heard of animality. There you go. There you go. Oh, wow. Look at that. Free update available to all players on release. Okay. A free update available to players. A free update available to all players upon release, huh? Okay. All right. Oh, there you go. Okay. So, a lot to take in on that trailer. That was quite a lot of content. I'm not sure now. I think there were 2 trailers. I thought I remember hearing that there were 2. If this is the only one, then this is the only one. But yeah, I have been under the impression that there were 2 separate trailers, one for the story expansion and one outlining the guest characters. Well, let me just say right off the bat, the guest characters, when I heard, do you like scary movies? I'm like, wait, is Johnny Cage asking that? That would be a very Johnny Cage thing to do, him being a movie star and all. But then, nope, Ghostface comes out. Ghostface steps out, and there you see his dreary, screamy mask right there. Oh my gosh! All right, well, I'll cover those when we get to them, because I'll go back and I'll play the whole trailer through. And yeah, you might have seen my reactions to some of the things, and then you might have seen my reactions to all the things that we observed. So I will, yeah. Now I'll take my time in reacting and giving my thoughts on each aspect. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's start it off once again. Let me lower this a bit.
No sacred laws, no divine rules.
First of all, let me just say that I am very happy about the fact that NetherRealm Studios chose not to wait until the very next Mortal Kombat game, whenever that may be, to elaborate on the mid-credits scene of Mortal Kombat 1. Because for those who haven't been keeping up, in Mortal Kombat 1 story mode, you play on through and you get to see many of the characters that we have witnessed in the past, but some of them portrayed slightly differently. And Havoc was one of those characters. Now, Havoc in the main story was portrayed differently than the Havoc that we're used to seeing. He didn't always look like, you know, a human with a decayed face revealing just a skull. He looked like an ordinary guy, basically. He could easily have been from Earthrealm. But something happens in the game, namely Scorpion, now Kuai Liang rather than Hanzo Hasashi, burns his face. He pretty much does a Harvey Dent Two-Face on him. I guess you could say Havoc got Rachel by Scorpion. And that's the reason why Havoc doesn't even really have a full-on skull face. Just his mouth is the skin around his like from his nose to his mouth is melted away. So now he still has human eyes, but he looks a lot more skullerific. But then after you complete the main story mode, when you get to the mid-credits scene, we see the pyramid on which the final battle took place, and a new group of characters that we hadn't seen yet up to that point in the story, consisting of a bunch of hybrids of sorts. Like you have one who's a hybrid of Quan Chi and Sub-Zero. You got another who's a hybrid of maybe Katana and Tanya. And then you've got another Havoc who looks different from the Havoc that we saw in the main Mortal Kombat 1 story, but a little bit more familiar looking to us for those of us longtime Mortal Kombat fans, going back to the 3D era with Deception when we first saw Havoc. He looks a little bit more on par with that Havoc. And now in this trailer, we're getting to see that very Havoc, and it looks like the Chaos Reigns story, hence Havoc being a cleric of chaos, this Havoc that we know right here, who's going to be, like I said, seems to be a lot more in line with the Havoc that we know from previous timelines. Looks like he's going to be the chief antagonist. So, and again, I'm happy that they're not waiting until the next game to do this, because that's a remark that the fourth Snake had made when talking about one of his grievances with NetherRealm Studios, particularly since MK9, in that they don't always tend to follow up with things very well. Like in MK9, we find out at the tail end of the story that Shinnok had secretly been pulling the strings behind the scenes. And sure enough, we do get to face Shinnok in MK10 as the core portion of the main story mode. But he's not really in the majority of the story. You wipe him out in the first chapter with Johnny Cage, and then he shows up again at the tail end in the final chapter when you fight him again as Cassie Cage. But all throughout the middle, he's nowhere to be found. I guess you could say they kind of took the Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell approach, where you only see Jason at the beginning and end of the movie, but all throughout the middle, he's nowhere to be seen or heard from. And then in Mortal Kombat 10, at the tail end of that, where you see Raiden now corrupted by Shinnok's corruption of the Jinsei, and he is now Dark Raiden, you think, uh-oh, we got Dark Raiden to contend with in MK11. And sure enough, he is in the game, but once the second chapter starts off, he's dusted Avengers Endgame style, or even Infinity War style for that matter. And then after MK11's Aftermath story completes, particularly on the Liu Kang side, we see that Liu Kang has gone all the way back in time to meet with the great Kung Lao, or the man who would become the great Kung Lao. And we think, I certainly did, that the story of Mortal Kombat 1, we're led to think that the story of Mortal Kombat 1 is going to revolve around the great Kung Lao. It's going to be a retelling of his story, now with Thunder and Fire God Liu Kang as his mentor. Only to find out that the Kung Lao that we get in the main Mortal Kombat 1 game is the Kung Lao that we've known since Mortal Kombat 2, the original 1993 arcade game. And except for one quick throwaway line between Liu Kang and Geras, the great Kung Lao is nowhere to be seen nor found anywhere or heard from. Yeah. So I certainly understand where Fourth Snake was coming from as regards to with regards to, is NetherRealm Studios going to give us, this alternate dimension Havoc and then wipe him out in the first chapter of the next game story, so that basically he won't even be a Disc 1 final boss. He'll be a Disc 1 Stage 1 boss, Yeah, just reduce him to that little bit of prominence there. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. It looks like he is going to be, trailers don't necessarily give you the whole story, but that is for the best. But so far, it looks like the focus is going to be on him. It's called Chaos Reigns, which suggests that it will emulate around him. But nonetheless, here we are. So here we go now with alternate dimension Havoc coming in.
I choose what is right.
And it looks like he has a whole army of Havocs with him, probably from other timelines and dimensions. The one who's got his fist raised up like this looks like Mortal Kombat 1 Havoc, the most recent iteration that we were introduced to with that emo haircut of his. And we got several other Havoc variants, let's call them. The one in the back right there has the helmet. That looks like Mortal Kombat Deception Havoc. You see right in the middle with his arms to the side, standing like this. Yeah, that looks like original timeline Havoc, probably even reboot timeline, from the previous trilogy, because we didn't really see Havoc that much in the game. But when they did show him, he looked like the Havoc that we knew from Deception. And now let's see where this takes us. Yeah, he looks a lot more like the Havoc that we all know, with a decayed face and body. A little bit more muscle, I would say, is present. He's not like all bone in the face. Still, he does look pretty scary. And yeah, he looks like, with that, helmet on right there, he definitely looks like he's going to be a much bigger deal in this storyline.
Everywhere with anarchy.
Because his agenda is chaos. He's an engine of chaos, and he likes to introduce a little anarchy.
This new Havoc is different from ours.
You don't say.
He doesn't want freedom. He wants to burn everything.
Look at this right here. Oh boy, who is that? Is that Bihan? Well, look at this. I think the better question is, who is this right here? Ha, ha, ha. I certainly recognize the armor. That is Sector's armor, but apparently Sector is now a female. Interesting. Now, at the end of Sub-Zero's arcade journey in Mortal Kombat 1, when you beat the game with Sub-Zero, we find out that he, Bihan, decides to begin the Cyber Initiative. He's the one who decides, okay, I'm going to convert all of my Lin Kuei into machines. So perhaps in this timeline, the mantle of Sector and Cyrax, as we will soon see, were taken up by completely different individuals. Well, evidently they were. I mean, it's not going to be the same people, the same men that it has been for possibly the previous two timelines. It's somebody different now. And this goes back to something that I had said before Mortal Kombat 1 had come out. That I had said that, one of the things that you could do, being that this is a whole new era and a new timeline, is that you can find a way to give the people the familiar characters, but still keep things fresh and new. And one of the things you could do to achieve that would be to bring in characters and call them Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and so on, but have them be different individuals, right? Because Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Cyrax, Sector, those aren't proper names. Those are code names. So you can have the mantle of Sub-Zero and Scorpion be held by somebody other than Bihan, Hanzo Hasashi, Kuai Liang, and so on. Especially if, like I had previously thought, this game was originally going to be set during the time of the Great Kung Lao. Remember Mortal Kombat Deception's Conquest mode, which was essentially the game's story mode, where you're playing as young Shujinko walking around through the village, and you come across a character that looks very much like the spitting image of the original Sub-Zero from MK1, the old MK1. But obviously, given that story mode's particular place in the timeline at that very moment, it obviously cannot be Bihan or Kuai Liang, so it must be an ancestor of the Sub-Zeros that we had known up to that point, just with the same uniform and possibly even the same code name. So you could have easily done that for them, and that would have been cool. So you could have, Fire God Liu Kang, the Great Kung Lao, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but not Bihan, Kuai Liang, or Hanzo Hasashi. So that way, again, you could give the people what they want, but still keep it fresh. And that seems like that's what they've done with Sector and Cyrax. So you've got Sector and Cyrax, but they're not being portrayed by the same individuals that we had seen up to this point. Matter of fact, they're not even being played by the same gender. That's a very interesting twist. So I'm actually okay with this. I'm actually down with this right here. All right, Miss Sector, let's see what you got.
Let real warriors handle this.
There she goes, putting a hurting on Raiden. Well, it's safe to assume that Sector and Cyrax will be heels in this game. They'll be villains. on account of the fact that Sub-Zero has converted, by the end of Mortal Kombat 1's primary story mode, Sub-Zero Bi-Han has converted the Lin Kuei into an evil faction and had moved forward with cyberizing them all. So yeah, safe to say they're going to be enemies in this one. And then we've got female Cyrax. Wow. As a lifelong Cyrax fan right here, I am actually okay with this because, and I'll tell you why. I'm all right with Sector and Cyrax for the reasons that I described previously, but also because we already have the Sector and Cyrax that we all know and love available to play in this game with as cameos. So we've already got the Sector and Cyrax from the original timeline in this game in one particular form by way of cameos, just like we have the original Sub-Zero and Scorpions in this game by way of cameos. So in a rare development, we're actually getting to have our cake and eat it too. Or perhaps in this case, it would be more appropriate to say we're getting to have our hamburgers and hot dogs with a different brand of ketchup and mustard. I cracked me up. So, all right, female Cyrax, show me what you can do.
My will is unbreakable.
I like how female Sector and Cyrax have moves that are akin to male Sector and Cyrax, but done in their own style. Kind of like how Frost wasn't just a gender swap of Sub-Zero. Yeah, she had the Corey powers, the powers to freeze, but she displayed them in her own way. You know, her slide is a little bit different. She would freeze the ground predominantly instead of throwing an ice ball straight ahead. So that's actually pretty clever. Let me rewind that back a little bit to see here. For Sector, okay, she's got the Iron Man rocket boots. A lot of nice jet propulsion there. Fire fists. She has the robotic arm that extends from behind her shoulders there. She has the wrist-mounted flamethrowers. Okay, that's similar.
My will is unbreakable.
Okay, a little bit different from the plasma net. Now it looks like she throws a bunch of green muck at them. What's that supposed to be? Looks like some kind of acid or something like that. It's meant to serve the same purpose as the net in that it immobilizes the opponent. Doesn't draw them towards Cyrax, but it does immobilize them, so that's cool. You know, just it performs the same function, but it just looks different. So yeah, she captures them in all that that clay, or I'm not really sure what it is, what the substance itself is, but it serves the same purpose as the plasma net, which is cool. She teleports. She drops grenades and throws them, and has some wickedly cool combos too. All right, so I'm down with that change. Sectoria and Cyraxia. I don't know. There you go. That's what I'll call them. Sectoria, like Victoria, and Cyraxia, like Cynthia. All right, cool. Next.
The future is chaos. All must embrace it.
Sound like Bi-Han.
I am he. So not as you remember.
What did Havoc do to you?
Infected me.
Ay, 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 ay. They did it. They went and did it. All right. This is the part where I break everybody's hearts here, because this was one of the things that the longer the Mortal Kombat 1 story mode went on, the more I became afraid of. When playing through Mortal Kombat, when you begin Mortal Kombat 1 story mode, like I said, you've got a lot of familiar characters, but many of them are portrayed differently. Kenshi is there, but he's not blinded. Kuai Liang is there, but he's not Sub-Zero, he's Scorpion, and he doesn't have the scar over his eye. Havoc is there, but his face is not a skull. It looks pretty ordinary. Mileena and Baraka, they're Tarkatans, well, Tarkatan adjacent, I guess you could say. They're not, they have the Tarkatan appearance, but it is not because they are from a race of, they're not from a race called Tarkatans. It's more of a mutation. It's the result of being infected by a virus of sorts. And we get moments in the story where Mileena is actually regular faced and doesn't have her Tarkatan-esque mouth. But Baraka, we only ever see looking like the Baraka that we all know. But there is no such thing as a full-fledged Tarkatan. There's just people who are infected by a disease, a virus that turns them into what we would come to know as Tarkatans. And when we get to the part with Sub-Zero turning against Scorpion and the heroes, I said to myself, please don't let him turn into Noob Saibot. Please don't turn him into Noob Saibot, because then I feel like we're on the path to just undoing everything that Liu Kang has done up to this point. And then when the story mode ends, we find out that, yeah, Sub-Zero is still at large, and he's got the Lin Kuei working for him now against the better interests of Earthrealm. So I was like, oh, okay, good. And then we get this. This is like when you've got the guy who is just about to fall over the cliff, but then he catches his balance and pulls himself up. Oh, that was a close one. And then somebody comes up right behind him and knocks him over the cliff anyway. This is the knocking over the cliff. I'm sorry, but I do not like this. No, I don't like this at all. If they brought Noob Saibot in, I would be fine with it being somebody else, like I've been saying up to this point. If it was the same name and appearance but a different individual, totally cool. Again, that's giving the people what they want, but also it's giving the people, you know, who ask for certain characters what they want, technically, but it's also delivering it in a way that's fresh and new. But no, it looks like we got Bihan as Noob Saibot, because all the true fans out there just want what they want. We don't care about story as long as we get the characters that we want to play as and do all the fatalities and pwn noobs online. That's all we want. Yeah. I'm sure at this point we're going to get everybody who's just been a cameo as a primary playable character, because I'm boycotting the game until I get my character. Yeah. You know, I could have said that. I could have said, hey, I would love to have Cyrax in every single Mortal Kombat game, but I'm all right with him not being in every game. If they put him in, awesome. I love it. I'll gladly play as him. But it's because of the fact that certain characters did not make it into every single Mortal Kombat game that I was able to be introduced to other characters. In fact, that's how I got introduced to Cyrax. I was playing Mortal Kombat 3 and I was in the mood to play as Scorpion. Once I found out that Scorpion was nowhere to be found in the game until the Ultimate Expansion and later MK Trilogy, I said, all right, let me pick this character who looks like he could be Scorpion. Up to that point in time, my friends and I speculated that maybe Cyrax was a cyberized Scorpion, that maybe he made a deal with the Lin Kuei to go after Sub-Zero, since the Lin Kuei were now targeting him. After all, his moves were the same, were very similar, even done in a very similar way. To throw the spear for Scorpion, you would hit back, low punch. To throw the plasma net for Cyrax, you would hit back, low kick. So it seemed plausible to assume that Scorpion and Cyrax were one and the same. Obviously, we would find out that that wasn't the case, But by the time Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 had come out, I had already become a big Cyrax fan. So I was like, all right, let's go get him, Cyrax. Let's do it, Cy Guy. Then in MK4, he was not in the game. So I went back to Sub Zero. MK Gold, they put him back in. So, okay, there I went back to Cyrax again. And then we get to the 3D era. He was in Deadly Alliance. I named him in Deadly Alliance. He was not in Deception, so I went back to Sub Zero. But along the way, I would play as other characters too. It's like, all right, well, I'm in the mood to play as Sonya. Oh, she's not here? All right, let me try Li Mei. I want to play as Liu Kang today. Liu Kang's not playable? Wow, that's a first. All right, let me give this Kenshi fella a try. That kind of a thing, you know? So I was introduced to new characters by way of not having the same characters be made available again. But, you know, the people online, they just want the same game over and over again. They just want to have the same characters regardless of the circumstances. Because let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, it's time, and I'm serious, it's time for us to really be honest here. Do the vast majority of players who play the Mortal Kombat games really give two licks about the story? No, they do not. All they care about is playing as their favorite characters, even if it makes absolutely zero storyline sense whatsoever, and doing the fatalities and being the best players online. Story schmory. The story just takes a backseat to everything else. And I can say that with certainty because when I played through Mortal Kombat 11, they let you view the player cards, the profile cards of all the players that you play online with. I looked at a lot of them. About 9 out of 10 of them had the story mode progress at 0%. That's right. Nothing. Nada. Goose egg. Donut. 0%. So that tells me everything I need to know right there. And I see it for myself too. So I'm sorry, but Noob Saibot being back in the game and having him be Bihan once again for me is just, yeah, I don't like that. So sorry, guys, but I cannot endorse this decision. All we need now is, I guess only one thing remains, right? All we need now is for General Shao to somehow find a way to become Shao Kahn again, and we will officially be right back to where we started. Yeah. Awful. That was actually pretty funny, I have to admit. His shadow coming out and getting one last little lick in on him. That was actually pretty cool. So yeah, for all of you noob marks out there, you know, enjoy playing as him. Have fun with him. Just like I said to all the Melina marks in MK11, you know, well, you got what you wanted. You got Melina. Doesn't make any storyline sense, and it feels really pushed in, but you got her, so enjoy her. So same thing with Noob Saibot here. You know, you got what you wanted. One more time. And another thing. There you go. I'll give him that. That was pretty good. But yeah, that's what it's all about. As long as the squeakiest wheels get the oil, as long as all the people who all they do to Ed Boon whenever he tweets about anything is just ask them what they want, Ed Boon could be saying, "Hey, I just got tickets to the Bulls game." They'll say, "Oh, you know, you got tickets to you got tickets to the Bulls game. That's cool. Speaking of Bulls, are we getting animalities?" I gotta tell you, I gotta give credit to the Mortal Kombat fan base. They are some of the biggest Weisenheimers I have ever known. I'm talking Alice Cramden levels of Weisenheimer. Seriously. I'll say, hello. I'll pick up the phone and say, hello, this is Mr. Cramden. What can I do for you? And I say, hello, this is Mrs. Cramden. When are you going to take the garbage out? I'd like to belt you one. Seriously. That has to be admired. It really does. But yeah, they'll keep on asking, when are we getting Sonya to play as in the game? When are we getting Noob Saibot? When are we getting pretty much every character that we've ever seen up to this point? When are we going to have a reunion of every game, basically making it like Mortal Kombat's 9, 10, and 11, but with a fresh coat of paint? When are we going to do that? Or else I'm boycotting your stupid game. You know? So, you know, if the influencers want it, if the hot chicks want it, if the loud people want it, That's what gets heard. Well. Okay, Sarat. Sarat.
First Shang Tsung, now this havoc.
This is actually pretty cool to see. Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and Raiden triple teaming Havoc. That tells you a lot about how strong he is. Well, that's, you'll have to admit, that's using your head. Don't we always? All right, now that that joke's out of the way, let's continue.
Threats from these titans never cease.
Okay, so we get a glimpse of how female Sector and Cyrax look. Here's female Cyrax right here. Now, just judging by that expression on her face, I'm wondering if female Cyrax is also going to be the one who shows a little bit of remorse, while female Sector says, remorse, nothing. Let's just do what Grandmaster wants. And yeah, and one look at female Sector's face says exactly that. Like, come on, Cyraxia, you don't get what's going on right here. I, Sectoria, have this down pat. Let's just go on ahead and fulfill the Lin Kuei's objective to a T. That's actually pretty funny. Havoc using his head as a hammer for the gong. Boom. How do we escape this crisis on Infinite Earth Realms? Well, okay, if Kuai Liang is saying that he's disgusted by female Cyrax, by Cyraxia, then maybe there's something to that. Unless that's an early part in the story. But look at this. We got Cyraxia and Sectoria fighting one another.
Make no mistake, we are here because of your treachery.
Because of your treachery. Impressive fatality. Kind of has a Dr. Octopus quality to it almost. What's Chaos Havoc have in his chest there? Infinity Stones?
There will be blood.
Well, okay, Daniel Day-Lewis, will you drink the Earthrealmers' milkshakes as well? Okay. So, yeah, apparently the guest characters are part of this same trailer. They're not separate, so I guess I could make this all one video then. All right, and here we go with the guest characters.
Do you like scary movies?
It's Ghostface, and he'll kill you that way. Okay, well, I can tell you this, as a longtime Dead by Daylight player, I can say with certainty that Ghostface is among the most popular killers to play as. I especially like his look in that game. They take his Halloween costume cloak and make it look more like a suit of armor. That was actually a pretty nice touch. I wonder if there'll be a costume option for that in this game. There probably will be, unless Dead by Daylight has some sort of a lock on that. I don't think they do. It's a pretty minor aesthetic change in the grand scheme of things. But Ghostface, again, Ghostface, all right, his popularity aside, I don't really get martial artist from him. Like, how is Ghostface going to fit into a Mortal Kombat game? Oh, sure, he's violent and he's from a horror franchise, but he's more of a brawler, really. He's not a combatant. Then again, I said the same thing about some other guest characters, and look how that turned out. So I'm sure they'll find a way. But there he is, though. There's Ghostface. I guess the question is, which Ghostface is he? Is he Skeet Ulrich? Is he Matthew Lillard? Is he one of the ones from the future movies? I lost track at some point, so I forget who was who. Was it Mickey? Is it Billy's mother? Is it a Mortal Kombat character wearing the costume? Now, that would be an interesting twist. Imagine if it was like Curtis Stryker or maybe Shujinko or Taven or Dagon wearing the costume, right? They pull the mask off and Taven! That would actually be a pretty wicked twist in and of itself, I have to admit. Maybe it's not important, maybe it's not worth getting into very much. They might reveal it maybe in his bio or so. I mean, Ghostface typically uses a voice modification device, so you could really go either way with it. Maybe it's me. Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite? Kazam? That's not a scary movie. I have seen Shaquille O'Neal act, yeah, but never mind. All right, so that's Ghostface. Next, we have the T-1000. That's right. It's not Brian Cage or Kenny Omega. Nope. It is not anybody from All Elite Wrestling for that matter. It is the character that Robert Patrick made famous in the likeness of Robert Patrick himself, the T-1000. Now, for all of you longtime Mortal Kombat fans, there's actually a bit of a full circle aspect to this. You see, when Baraka had first debuted, his extendable arm blades were very reminiscent of the T-1000 turning his own arms into big long blades, almost like swords, like a pair of swords. And same thing happened with Jackson Briggs in MK3 when he got his metal arms, and for one of his fatalities, he would turn them into metal swords, T-1000 style. I'd say that was even more of a T-1000 reference, honestly. And he would just grind the opponent up into hamburger. And now here we are with the T-1000 himself. It seems like NetherRealm Studios has kind of dug back into their past to make references to different elements of pop culture at that time into canonized aspects of Mortal Kombat, right? Even with Jean-Claude Van Damme's portrayal of Johnny Cage, right? Johnny Cage was initially going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, but when that fell through, they went with a character that was based on him, primarily from his Frank Dukes from Bloodsport character, and they had Baraka and Jax exhibit some T-1000 properties. Speaking of Terminator characters, you got Kano with his bionic eye, which made him look like a Terminator himself. And speaking of Terminator, who was one of the guest characters in Mortal Kombat 11? That's right, the Terminator himself, portrayed by this guy right here. That's right, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this now marks 2 back-to-back Mortal Kombat games in which we have gotten characters from the Terminator as well as characters played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is actually pretty wild, I have to say. Well done, NetherRealm Studios, on that one. Now, one question that I have is, obviously we've got Robert Patrick's likeness for the T-1000, but will we have his voice? Will he be lending his vocal performance to the character as well? You might think, well, of course, Dan, why wouldn't they? Well, because as we have seen in the case of the Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11, he definitely had Arnold Schwarzenegger's appearance, both modern day Arnold Schwarzenegger and 1980s and 90s Arnold Schwarzenegger, but his vocal performance was not done by Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. No, the voice for the Terminator in MK11 was actually supplied by veteran voice actor Chris Cox, whom Arnold Schwarzenegger had, from what I understand, personally recommended for the role. Chris Cox is a voice actor who I know best as portraying the voice of Wedge Antilles in Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike on Nintendo GameCube. So the same actor who would say, "Right with you, Luke, form up," also says, "What is Netherrealm? What is Outworld?" Yeah, pretty good range, I'd say. Yep. Who is Bats? Right with you. Let's go. Oh, boy. So I hope Arnold Schwarzenegger has decided to supply the voice this time, because it would be great to hear Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robert Patrick talk to each other once again. I mean, they didn't really do much talking to each other in Terminator 2, but you could still have there be Terminator dialogue between Conan and T-1000 because, you know, Conan is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, so you could still have it sound like you could have there be some like, have I met you before? Where I feel like we know each other or something like that. You know, you could still be cheeky and do that. So yeah, we've got another Arnold Schwarzenegger character in Conan the Barbarian, who I actually think is a pretty good pick, a good fit for Mortal Kombat. Kind of like how Tusk was a good addition to Killer Instinct 2, right? Tusk was a very Conan the Barbarian inspired character. Oh wow, I just thought of something else. Conan the Barbarian has been played by two Terminator actors. One, of course, being Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the other, with the alternate nickname of Conan the Librarian, was played by Brian Thompson, who played, you guessed it, Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Oh my goodness. Everything seems to be connected to the Mortal Kombat realm, isn't it? The Mortal Kombat universe encompasses everything. It is wild. It is crazy. It is amazingly cool and outstanding. All right, so the Ghostface Killer, the T-1000, and Conan the Barbarian will be the latest guest characters for Mortal Kombat 1, along with Sectoria, Cyraxia, and Cybot, once again played by Bihan. Okay, so from left to right, cool, blah, cool, 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 cool. Well, 5 out of 6 ain't bad, I say. All right. Excellent stuff overall. So overall, I'm happy about this. Chaos reigns. Now let's take a look at some of these other details here. Oh, yes, of course. At this point, like I said, I'm thinking, was this Jurassic Park? And then I see finish him, and I think, wait a minute. And I'm thinking, who's this? Is this animal going to turn into somebody else, and that's going to be a revelation of another character? Not quite. Then I see the hippopotamus, and I think, oh, wait a minute. This has to be Animalities. Yeah, this has got to be Animalities, and sure enough, that's what it is. In the last game, in Mortal Kombat 11, we got the return of friendships, which may or may not have been my fault, because I, right along there with a request to bring, well, it may or may not have been my fault, because one day I tweeted, hey, Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios, I've got 4 words for you guys. Bring back the friendships. This will be the perfect time for it, as we have a lot of characters who are related to one another in one form or another, such as the Cage family and the Briggs family, and we have a lot of characters who are allies too. Matter of fact, Mortal Kombat 1, since there isn't really that much animosity, like real hatred between that many of the characters, friendships would probably fit in well with this game too. But either way, we got another famous method of finishing opponents off brought back into this game. We've got the return of the Animalities. All right, that's really cool. I like to see that. We've got gorillas, we've got hippopotamuses, we've got Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons, not proper T-Rexes, but the T-Rex bones. I guess this must be the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton from Night at the Museum, right? Ben Stiller didn't throw him his bone today, so he's just going to go on ahead and chomp up some combatants. Obviously, that's got to be Nightwolf. I want to say that's Scorpion, but if Mortal Kombat 3 has taught us anything, it's that looks can be deceiving, as can names. They got it right in Mortal Kombat 4, but until proven otherwise, I'm going to assume this is Scorpion. I'm guessing Rain is the blowfish. That's my theory. Purple and peach, purple and tan there. and, an aquatic-based animal. And then we got Melina, who turns into a praying mantis. I mean, I know praying mantis kung fu is a legit style of martial arts, but I didn't know that you could actually turn into a real praying mantis and in the process and do it. Well, then again, there was that episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Trini's Uncle Howard, in which the Power Rangers had to fight an actual praying mantis who practiced what else? Praying mantis kung fu. So I guess this brings that full circle also. Trini, what's he doing? Or in this case, what's she doing? As in Melina. What's Melina doing, Trini? Okay. So Chaos Reigns expansion, new story chapters, Combat Pack 2, Cyraxia, Sectoria, available on release. Ghostface, T-1000, and Conan to be announced. All right. Very interesting. And, Ghostface, we have had horror movie characters in the Mortal Kombat games before, right? In Mortal Kombat 9, we had Freddy Krueger. Mortal Kombat 10/Mortal Kombat X, we had Jason Voorhees and Leatherface. And you can count Alien and Predator as well, because, yeah, most people think of them as science fiction movies, but let's be honest, they're equal parts horror as they are science fiction. Mortal Kombat 11, we got more action-adventure-based characters than horror characters. But now here we are in MK1, M1K as some call it, and we got another horror movie character in Ghostface. I wonder if Michael Myers will ever show up in one of these, right? Because Ghostface is Dimension Films, just like how Halloween, right? Just like Halloween is Dimension Films. So up to this point, I thought that NetherRealm Studios only had access to Warner Brothers characters or New Line Cinema characters. But Alien and Predator were 20th Century Fox. Unless something has changed behind the scenes that I'm not aware of. Or if they were just able to work out a deal, because nowadays there's all kinds of deals being worked out between multiple studios. So, well, however it happened, there you go. T-1000, that'll be fun. Conan, Cyraxia, Sectoria, there you go. And no, be on again. And then, of course, we have the original Combat Pack with Quan Chi, Ermac, inhabited by Jared, which I actually did like that. I like that Sindel's late husband Jared had inhabited the body of Ermac. I actually thought that was a good twist. We've also got Takeda Takahashi. I have to admit, this is pretty good armor of his. We got Peacemaker, portrayed by John Cena in both physical appearance and vocal performance form, as is the case with Homelander. Not Homelander, Omni-Man, portrayed by J.K. Simmons from the ground up, voice and appearance. Homelander, unfortunately, is not a case of their original actor fully portraying them. That's obviously, what's the actor's name? Anthony Starr. That's obviously Anthony Starr's likeness, but word has it that he declined reprising the vocal part of the character. So they got another sound alike to do it for him. That's a bummer, really. I always prefer, if at all possible, to have the authentic actor, unless, of course, they're deceased or whatnot. But like we got Dr. Peter Weller for RoboCop. We got Sylvester Stallone for John Rambo in both physical appearance and vocal performance form. Schwarzenegger was the exception that I mentioned before with, they got his likeness for Terminator, but not his voice. And that was the other request that I had made. I mentioned that I made a couple of requests during MK11's run. One was for the friendships. So that may have been my fault. And another addition to Mortal Kombat 11 that may or may not have been my fault was putting in a request to have John J. Rambo be a guest character. Oh, I will never forget that. When he was announced in that trailer and they brought him in, I was like, what? They actually did it? And I'll never forget it. It's still up there on Twitter. A whole year after I made that initial tweet on Twitter, once Rambo was released into MK11, the official Mortal Kombat Twitter page had replied to that year-old comment with, Well, ... we did. Because the reason why I requested Rambo was not just because I'm a diehard Stallone fan, as well as Rambo fan, but also because I had just seen the last Rambo movie that had come out, Last Blood, and seeing all the graphic violence in that one, I thought, you know what, John J. Rambo would be a perfect addition to Mortal Kombat. And so a year later, they wrote. So I suggest putting him into the game, finding a way to get him into the game. And then Mortal Kombat's official Twitter replies, "Well, ... we did." I'm like, thank you. See, Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios, they still listen to DWC. They still listen to their Ultimate Mortal Kombat Fanatic, and for that, I am forever grateful. I am proud to be your Ultimate Mortal Kombat Fanatic as well. Then, now, and forever. To the end of time. Pre-order now and receive 4 new skins. Wedding Scorpion. Yes, because Kuai Yang marries Hiromi in this timeline. The Hiromi who, in the recent timelines, had been Hanzo Hasashi's spouse. Kuai Yang marries her this time. So Wedding Scorpion. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Sub-Zero. Empress Melina, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Noob Saibot. All right, there you go. And Animality shall be a free update available to all players on release. Bravo to that. I'm very happy about that. All right, so overall, DWC approves. There were a couple of things that like I had mentioned, I wasn't too crazy about, but there they are nonetheless. You know, just because I'm the Ultimate Mortal Kombat fan doesn't mean I'm going to blindly like everything that's released. I will give criticism and voice my displeasure when I feel it's due. But I'm happy to say that the pros outweigh the cons, pun intended, in this one. Quan Chi and Shang Tsung not originally having their magical powers was another way that the Mortal Kombat 1 of the new era storyline had started off. Shang Tsung eventually, of course, got his, and Quan Chi got his too, in addition to having his skin bleached to where he looks like the Quan Chi we all know. So, yeah, my worry is that by the time this new story ends, everything will be right back to where they started, including General Shao, assuming he's part of this, going back to being Shao Kahn. To which I'll be like, oh gosh, the whole thing was just a prose to get us right back to where we were in the previous realms. Well, only time will tell for that. But all I know is that this will be coming out about 4 days after my birthday, September 24th. So, all right, well, it'll be a nice belated birthday present from NetherRealm Studios for me. I'm not sure if I'll get the whole thing. I might do like I did with Mortal Kombat 11 and just pick and choose what I want. And go from there. But that's the freedom of choice, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't like the whole thing, you can just take the parts you like. I'm glad we have that option. It is Mortal Kombat, and it is a favorite topic of yours truly. Like I said, whenever the subject matter is Mortal Kombat, it's never a question of if, but when I will address it. So the Olympic Games may have kept me from addressing it right away, but it was only a matter of time before I would go all in and address it completely. All right, so let me, I believe I've come out of this now, or have I? Let me just turn the screen share off. Boom. Okay. All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel William Clark's official reaction and review video for Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns. Let me know your thoughts on it. What parts of it did you like? What parts of it did you not like? Did you like the whole thing? Or did you think the whole thing was one great big gigantic whiff? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below right away, right away, right away in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Post a video response if you want to do that. And let's get to chatting. Because whenever the topic is Mortal Kombat, you can bet that Daniel William Clark will always go for the $64,000 question. All right, everybody. So that'll do it for us here today. I am your happy host, as always, DWC, Daniel William Clark, also known as your ultimate Mortal Kombat Fanatic, as voted on by GameSpot.com and Ed Boon himself, saying thank you all very much for watching. Take care, be well, stay safe, God bless. Remember that there is no knowledge that is not power, and always be sure to keep with the combat. It is the outstandingly flawless way to be. Take care, everybody. So long.